55 years of age, and it's all gone. It's like on the rear view mirror, you know what I'm saying? It's been a nice trip. It's like, now what? Well, Doctor, that's the reason I came to see you. I mean, you're a psychologist, right? I mean, why would you put yourself in harm's way like that? Well, it's a steel cage match. What are you supposed to do? That's really what it's all about. You know, the people want to yell, they want to cheer, they want to boo, they want the blood, sweat, and tears, man. You know what I'm saying? Richard Thompson from Pittsburgh, a former altar boy. You're a father of two young lads. Why would you want to put yourself in that situation? I don't know. What's the reason I'm here? I want to go back to that situation. Now what?
You know, I'm always scheming in the pro wrestling. You know, I was going to join the WWF and become famous.
My name is Sky Losoya. I am the New York City three-time Golden Gloves boxing champion, the Empire State champion, and the USA National Women's Boxing champion.
You know, I got a demo tape together,
3 Golden Gloves.
and I mailed it out to WWF, which is now WWE,
1995, 96.
and nobody called me. I kept trying. I would send it out every month, different person, different name. And finally, one day somebody did call me, and they said, "We got your package. You look good. If we're interested, we'll give you a call." Breast enhancements really do help. Any kind of entertainment business, trust me. Whether you're a dancer, a professional wrestler, or wrestling dom or dominatrix, see a boob job. Steroids, yeah, you know, hey, I did it. I do it again. You do what you have to do to be successful. Always scheming, still scheming. Any chance?
My name's Larry DeGarris. I'm an academic. Degree is a PhD in sport, leisure, and exercise science. I would say my dual areas of specialization are sport marketing and sport sociology. Originally from New Jersey and now moving to Pullman, Washington to work as an assistant professor of sport management at Washington State University. I read a paper criticizing Japanese theater that there's no more ki, it's inner energy in performance and theater anymore. Actors used to be able to evoke tears in the audience just from their presence. You know, that skill is gone. And I say, well, obviously these people have never been to a wrestling match.
I'm Johnny Valiant, alias Tom Sullivan alias Johnny Valiant. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, grew up in Pittsburgh. I still have family in Pittsburgh, a mother and I have a son in Pittsburgh, a son in San Diego, and 3 grandchildren. And they know that I'm Tom Sullivan, and I'm not really Johnny Valiant to them. I have a Pennsylvania driver's license. So, all things being equal, I'm still a Pennsylvania resident, but I happen to live in New York City. Same thing I did in the ring. I'm incorporating in the acting business, comedy business.
I don't need applause. I really don't. I mean, you can applaud a little bit if you want. I mean, it would hurt if you... Thank you. Thank you very much.
Johnny Elliott. Johnny Elliott. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you the reason I'm here. Here we go. Here we go. Just the hieroglyphics of wrestling have brought Luscious Johnny Valiant back to New York City by way of Ohio. Wow! I'm scouting here, man. That's what brings the Luscious one, Johnny V. Oh, really? Oh, really? Let me tell you something, Valiant.
I've been here going on 9 years in New York and enjoying probably everything as much as in professional wrestling.
Wow. A reversal into a rear hammerlock. Wow. Rear masters of the hammerlock. There's the rear reversal. Rear hammerlock. Wow.
The challenge I like.
Rear hammerlock. Another hammerlock.
I, again, adjust like I did with different opponents to different directors and just going with the flow. How I got out of wrestling in the first place was, you could kind of see the writing on the wall.
That's the end of my humor. I'm done. I gotta be in bed by 10 o'clock. I gotta be home. Things to do.
You weren't being used as often, and I wasn't on the booking sheets to appear any longer.
Welcome to Jersey City. I'll be your announcer tonight. Of course, I am, and the one and the only Johnny Valiant from the WWF.
I was managing Beefcake and Valentine. They went to Vince McMahon, and they wanted to kind of do single matches.
You're going to be seeing a Battle Royal tonight in Jersey City.
That left me free to be kind of let go. Those phone calls, they'll always catch you at the wrong time, then you got to make decisions. I had a powwow with Vince, and I thanked him. Thanks for the opportunity. Funny, because I had just been granted custody with my 2 sons, and now a new house that I purchased in Pittsburgh was under peril there because the money wasn't coming in. So I had to put that up for sale and had to move in back into my mother's house with my 2 teenage kids. That was very disappointing, obviously. Rearing my kids and getting them off to school and being there for them was a lot more important than being on the road as a wrestler. So that job at Saks Fifth Avenue came along. And being back into that 9-to-5 world as a store detective in Pittsburgh for 3.5 years. And I was in Long Island doing a wrestling match, and I met a guy, Mike Kimmel. And he approached me with being an actor. Oh, you'd be a natural for this business. I'd never, ever thought of it.
I'll tell you what, if anybody thinks I'm coming out of retirement, they're crazy. I see those young guys there, what they do. Forget about it.
Pushing a mop or a broom or a salesman or whatnot, or security. All nice jobs, all honest jobs. But they weren't for me, as it turns out.
My name is Skyho Soya, and I am a professional wrestler.
Sapa, you give up now? Huh?
No.
No.
I go by the name Empress Asia, sometimes Sky Samurai.
Oh, you ridiculous.
I also work as a wrestling dominatrix when I'm not in the squared circle. It's like a fetish that not too many women can do, but it's high demand.
Smother him with feet. I have beautiful feet, eh?
Wrestling is the greatest sport ever invented by mankind. Just by watching that, you should be doing this.
Consenting adults, if you get hurt,
I mean, Asia's very good, so I enjoy wrestling, but it was like the 3rd or 4th time we've actually wrestled and everything. She's very technical. She knows how to apply the holds and things like that. Looking forward to it, so should be an interesting tag team matchup.
It starts with a cucumber mud pack. And ends with a pedicure at Fleur.
Most of them are upper echelon executive types because you have to have money to do this, and we deliberately keep the price high to weed out the undesirables. I've done a gamut of wrestling styles.
I'm sorry about that.
We've done a bikini wrestling, oil wrestling. A couple of guys even actually like the pro theme wrestling. I even made a card up. He used to call himself the Bandit, so it was the Bandit versus Asia. And I, put it up on the wall, and he'd wear his little wrestling outfit, and I'd wear my little wrestling outfit. He would actually give me money to hire an audience. I pay them to sit and watch us wrestle.
Here I go. I gotta go.
It's up to the money guy. The guy, it's his fantasy. So we'll see what he wants. And that was one of the most bizarre pro wrestling gigs that I did.
Lean back all the way. Get your hips up now. Keep those hips up when you fall.
Yeah, I still kind of felt right. See?
This is something very special for somebody. So, I'm making his fantasy come true.
What are they called? The Geisha girls?
Yeah, the Geisha girl.
Wrestling geisha.
Wrestling Geisha girl.
The Towers of Terror versus Wrestling Geisha.
You can feel free to take it off, but I'm concerned about your elbow there. You got hurt yesterday, and if it's sensitive, I don't want you to. The land of the rising sun, Tokyo, Japan. Wow. I went to college here in New York City, a famous Parsons School of Design, and I started taking up bodybuilding because I felt bodybuilding was art. It's living sculpture. Because I grew up in New York City where women are very free and liberal. When I went back to Japan, I was surprised to see that women are still second-class citizens back there. There are not many women bodybuilders or any women in the hardcore gyms. They would treat me like a pussy. But I was a serious athlete, and I pulled my weight, and I actually trained with some of the Japanese champions over there. Shut up. The Japanese style wrestling, they take that as like a national sport, being number 2 after sumo. If I started then, my life would have been different. I would have probably been somebody by now. But at that time, I thought it was hokey, and it was just something to watch. I was into my bodybuilding. Stay. Come on. Good. Be creative. Yeah. And I think I really got into the bodybuilding over there to express my empowerment as a woman. And it really did fuel everything that followed afterwards, including the work that I do with the wrestling, applying it to dominating men.
I was probably 10. Go to a friend's house and we'd try and stay up until midnight to watch the old IWA, which was the first syndicated wrestling show. And I liked it, but I didn't watch it every week, and I wouldn't say I was a huge fan.
We're coming up on 5 minutes of action.
I keep it simple. This is my bag. Boots, towel, tights, hood. Never know when you need it. Pinot, plastic bottle. A little professional courtesy, but also it's mostly just alcohol, like most aftershave, so it protects against skin diseases.
So Jimmy, pouring it on now.
Since I was in college, say 83, 84, when snooker really started to take off in the WWF. And I started to follow it again. By that time, I was a collegiate wrestler. So I think I looked at it a little bit differently. More of an appreciation of what they do, what they go through. Around the time, too, I said, yeah, that might be something fun to do.
But, and, you know, Jimmy is older now, but he's a legit athlete. The newer guys don't have the athletic background. You look at the matches tonight, you know, besides me and Jimmy, try and find one legit tough guy on the whole card.
But that's kind of typical for guys who go into the business. You know, you work a lot with guys you used to watch on TV.
There's JB.
That was a commercial yesterday.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wrapped me about 5 o'clock for Vivident chewing gum. They're gonna show it. They're gonna show it in Italy. Played a garbage man. I loved it.
Some of my students said they're coming tonight.
Are they?
Yeah, they're gonna make the trip.
Would you believe that? Why not?
I said, no extra credit.
Yeah. Lunch in the city. I go to the Senior Citizen Center on West 49th Street, St. Malachy's, and I get a beautiful lunch for 75 cents. I'm the youngest guy there at 52. Then I go hit the gym either before or afterwards. I go to Mass. I go wait for the beeper to go off. I go on auditions. I go read for this and that. Send out a few postcards and settle. And sit there with some of the actors and talk. We all have our ear to the ground and do some brainstorming. And there's a pretty decent camaraderie there. Larry, this car's riding smooth, isn't it?
Yeah, better be.
Beautiful.
It's gonna be for sale soon. I go to a conference and I sit down and talk about Frantz Fanon. I'll talk about Bourdieu. I'll talk about Roland Barthes. I present papers dealing with postmodern cultural theory and ethnographic epistemology, you know, intellectual stuff. It's funny because I get in the ring and maybe rough somebody out. This is the locker room guys. And then people say, man, you know, Larry, I can't imagine you in front of a classroom. If I go to an academic conference, I'm the wrestler. In a locker room, I'm the professor. And you want to ask me who's the real Larry, which is more authentic. Roland Barthes' paper on wrestling, pretty famous for being one of the first things written about wrestling by a serious critic. His major point was that what wrestling signifies is very clear and direct. All the signification is just right there for you. Two figures engaged in combat. I mean, that's a classic image, and that's something that anybody can understand anywhere in the world.
Make sure you stop! Shut the hell up, dude! You and your phone watch me break this guy's arm! Break it off! You referee!
Wrestling matches like theater. It's like drama. It's like human chess. It's all pantomime. You just tell. The movements are exaggerated. You don't go like this, like you would in boxing, where it's just a short punch and you could really knock someone out. You wind up and throw it. You need to make sure that the person in the last row sees the right hand.
These guys move a lot better than I ever did when I began. The one guy with the mohawk haircut, you know, he's already developed a persona. The audience is responding to him, but now they're looking at him for his wrestling ability, of which he does have some. It's there, whether he knows it or not.
Referee has declared this match a draw.
Guys is up.
And 236 pounds, Larry Briscoe. He's win by from the Isle of Fiji, Superfly, Jimmy Snuka.
I'm basically a Confucianist when it comes to epistemology. It's simple. 5,000 years ago, Confucius said, to know that you know what you know and do not know what you do not know. That's true knowledge. Certain things you can see, certain things you can't. And the trick is in knowing the difference, where to draw the line. Okay, what do I know? Well, I know that this guy fell down, but I don't know, did he fall down or was he knocked over? You can't tell. Then you ask the guys, and even then you can't tell. You ask one guy, did you fall down to where you knocked over? He said, no, the motherfucker knocked me over, man. And then you ask the other guy, did you knock him over? No, he fell. I was real light. What postmodernists are saying now is nothing new. Truth is fleeting. You know, that it's hard to grasp. This is what's so fun and playful about the business.
As we drive away from there, we see the World Trade Center out of here in New Jersey. I guess it's right around 17, exit 17. I'll be looking for it, 31 South, Flemington. I never thought about acting when I was here years ago wrestling in New York on Top in the Garden and all these places. I never dreamed of it. I never knew you go on auditions and you get 8x10 pictures and you get agents and what the agents do and what do the casting directors do and production offices and doing extra work and voiceovers and all this stuff. I didn't know what the heck that was, you know. My casting director friend Shirley Sender, she said, Johnny, you remind me of Brian Dennehy. I don't know about that. There's no way I don't know. I could maybe attempt it, but it would. I don't know. I don't know if I can remember the lines. That guy's just incredible. Brian Dennehy is Hulk Hogan. And tonight's not a comedy club per se. Tonight's it's at a high school, to the best of my knowledge. I don't know what the hell I'm getting into. Probably at this juncture, I would think that Uncle Floyd would be the headliner. He's a big name here around New Jersey, New York. Graduate of Juilliard. I know Larry Zabrisco and I think Freddie Blassie. They used to be on his show years ago, so looking forward to it. Before it used to always be, are you a wrestler? Now it's just, I had my shot.
Have a great time. Here's a program if you'd like to take one. Explains a little about the entertainers.
I would like to get the kind of feel of the town. I can pick up on some local humor, you know? I hate to rush. I'm a funny guy. I hate to rush. If I had my own wheels, I'd have been here this afternoon, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, walking around, having coffee, get the feel of the joint, you know, the town. That's how I did it. I was doing the same way in wrestling.
Thank you.
Wrestling, you know, you get out there and you talk about it, you know, people have a conceived notion of it anyhow, but you kind of give them a little peek at behind the scenes. Poking fun at oneself wouldn't be too bad. You know, professional wrestling, you know, after the 30-some plus years that I've been involved in it, there's a lot to poke fun at.
Straight. Twilight's up. Well, you want me to just go ahead out? Just come out there?
Right out. If you want, I'll wait 5 minutes and you can get the side of the stadium.
I was always the bad guy in wrestling. I don't know why, but I always had the people booing me. And I never really wanted to be the bad guy, you know? Well, I wanted to be the good guy. When I had the long, flowing, bleach blonde hair and the dark sunglasses and the fancy jackets, maybe I kind of paved the way, along with my brother Jimmy Valiant, for some of the characters you see today. He is totally no stranger, known throughout Western Jersey, Eastern Jersey, Uncle Floyd! I don't know how you determine or what determines success. In my humble opinion, it certainly is not how much money you have in the bank.
All my coins heat up on the dashboard, they get hot like rivets.
Certainly is no indication of me as a man by what title precedes my name, you know, as a Dr. Johnny Valiant. Special Envoy Johnny Valiant, or State Supreme Court Justice Johnny Valiant, or Inmate Valiant.
Hold that tiger, hold that tiger, hold that tiger, yeah. Where's that tiger? Where's... Even the Barney song has better lyrics.
I think a successful person is somebody doing what they have a passion for. From the World Wrestling Federation, I'm Luscious Johnny Valiant. Thank you so very, very much for coming out, and have a safe trip home. Thanks once again, Flemington, New Jersey. Good night. God bless. Well, that's it. Yeah, pretty good. Well, good. There were some funny guys there, weren't there? Yeah. Uncle Floyd, he was something, wasn't he? Yeah. Thanks for coming out. Okie dokie. Floyd left, man. I wish I was going down the fucking road, man.
I was about 3 years old. We worked our way into Hawaii. That's the way most of the Japanese immigrants came in back in the day. My ancestors backed me up to the shrine. I'm out of candles. At least light an incense. So before I go out to do a wrestling match or a boxing match, I would pray, light a candle, and they come through the channel and they back me up and they give me the strength. At least that's what I believe. This is Kannon. This is Buddha disguised as a woman, so women wouldn't feel awkward to confess or talk to him. This is my family. This was when I won the Golden Gloves. My mother, my sister, my brother. My mother is real cool. She knows what I do. She knows I do the pro wrestling. She knows I do the Dom stuff. And this one is my father, my sister, my brother. We're in Chinese New Year. My father doesn't know that. He thinks I'm a personal trainer, or, you know, I just tell him what I do for the daytime. You know, what all ex-wrestlers and fighters do, we teach. I teach the cardio kickboxing, boxing, or body sculpt at all the top New York City gyms. Walk into any of these gyms, ask for Sky, there I am. 3 times. 3 is the lucky number in Japan. Actually, I'm quite lucky because my folks, they ran away from Japan because they didn't want to be cookie cutter. They didn't want to fit into the beehive. My brother's a suit. He works for a bank/stock company. My sister's a nurse. My sister and my brother know. They love me, so they accept it. They just say, please don't talk about it when we have company.
Friday, 7:09 p.m. I'm calling about an inquiry about a serious, very sadistic wrestling match. My fantasy is I would like to wear high heels, higher, better, and I want to be knocked out of them, have the heels broken, you know, everything. I'd like to.
No, I came back to New York from Japan. I didn't have a job, but I had to get a job before my mother saw that I was unemployed. So I started looking through the New York Times, and it said, wanted athletic women to do phone work. A few columns down, it said, women wanted as wrestlers, will train, and it was the same number. And it turns out it was like a wrestling female phone line. Hi, this is Asia. You want to know how big my biceps are? My biceps are 14 inches. I'm gonna get you in a headlock. Oh yeah, I'm punching you now. Ooh, 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 now I got you. Hip toss. Ooh, you're on the floor. I'm gonna power drive you. Ooh, ooh. Okay, so what's your name?
I'm Brian. Do you have a ring?
We don't have a ring. It's like a large bedroom. No furniture, wall-to-wall mat.
And you can flip and, you know, that type of thing?
Yes, I'm a licensed professional wrestler, yeah. So you want the wrestling in the high heels?
Right.
Okay. All right, so Brian, when you're ready, give us a call. To become a true good phone wrestler, I had to learn the terminology, the actual grunts and sounds of wrestling. So I wound up at the world-famous Gleason's at Johnny Rod's wrestling school. Back then, Gleason's was still old and run down, and not too many people knew about it. This is the old dog himself, Johnny Rod. And this was back in the beginning, my gosh, 1994, 93. Yeah, he was still young and strong then. Yeah, the kids coming up then was Tommy Dreamer, Taz, Yvonne Dudley, Bad Billy Walker, Java Chabibi, Larry Briscoe. We all came up together. We were just taking our roll downs and rolls up at the time. Just a bunch of kids. My first workout, we start off with the falls. Roll up, roll downs, and the slap outs. If you can't get past that slap out or the fall, you can't be a wrestler. I went home with whiplash. And Johnny Rod said, "I'll see you tomorrow." And I was like, I don't think so. And that's where most people end. You know, they don't come back. Crippled, whiplash and all, I came back. And I think that's when I won the respect from John. He was like, "Hey, Japanese girl, you're back."
When I graduated from college, the first job that I had was as a high school teacher. And I had a student whose dad was one of the lumberjacks. I said, "Ask your dad, you know, how do you break into the business?" And she said, "He told me to tell you to go see Johnny Rod." And then I went down and visited the school and liked what I saw, that it was serious and that Johnny himself was in the ring with the guys. And I signed up. Everybody there is weightlifting, steroid type guys. And you walk in, you're just like a kind of a normal looking guy. And they figure, "Oh, this guy's a pussy." You know, until they try you. And then they're like, "Wait a second.
When I started out, Larry was like Johnny's right-hand man. He was the professor, exactly. He said, rule number 1, protect yourself. Rule number 2, protect your partner. He was serious, but he was a little bit of a clown. You know, and to this day, I really don't know what he does for work. This guy, you don't know me. I said, yeah, I guess I don't, but all I know is that he's a great wrestling instructor. We were all young, we were wolves, and yeah, he had this beat-up old Ford or something, and the ceiling was coming down, and the rust, like, you can put your finger out the door. Yeah, he'd drive me home sometimes. I don't know, I think in the beginning, I think he used to have a little crush on me. But then, you know, it was a guy's gym. It was Gleason's gym. I was like one of the only girls there back in the day. You know.
My father was a blue-collar kind of guy, painting contractor, and had a series of fleet of trucks and would paint the Giant Eagle supermarkets and the A&P. Well, the first time sitting down having to watch pro wrestling, I was with my father watching WIIC TV, Channel 11.
One of the most popular wrestlers to perform in this arena. An arm takedown, a nice hold by Bill, and a head.
It's all like a local type wrestling, so when guys like Edouard Carpentier would come in there and do that big backflip off the top rope or whatever, that was a big thing.
Now they're beginning to slug it up.
Gorilla Monsoon and Wild Red Berry and Killer Kowalski and Waldo Von Erich and all these other guys. I said, holy man, I was so drawn to all these people.
Racco told him to stay in the
I
corner.
even cut my hair cut once in a real short crew cut because of Waldo Von Erich. I kind of liked the way he was so arrogant and whatnot. But then I was kind of drawn towards guys like Buddy Rogers and Johnny Valentine with that long blonde hair and real tan physiques and Eddie Daddy-O and all that stuff. I said, I never heard anybody ever talk that way.
Come in anytime you want it. Yes, anytime you want it. I tell you what, I tell you what.
The Pittsburgh Pirates, when they were interviewed, they never spoke like that.
I'll tell you one thing. That's
My brother one day came in and said, hey, this guy that I met at the supermarket, he said he's going to be on wrestling tonight. His name was Bruno Sammartino. He came from the old country, from Italy, and moved into the Oakland section of Pittsburgh, where the University of Pittsburgh is situated. And so they called him the Oakland Strongman, and he was a very strong guy. And whatnot. Wow, look at that guy. He was the hometown favorite, later to be a world champion and a big celebrity nationwide. He moved up by me a few streets from where I lived. I just went up, knocked on his door, introduced myself to him, and yeah, he was quite nice. He gave me a schedule as to how to lift weights and that, and showed me some holds and whatnot. And yeah, he was very supportive, and he was kind of a hero to me, you know. Little did I know that years and years ahead that I'd be in the same business with people like that and travel with them and even wrestling them. Totally unbelievable. Totally unbelievable.
In the past few years now, there's been a really tremendous upsurge of independent promotion where someone buys a ring and a pair of tights and boots and you're a wrestler. I think though when you see kind of a legitimate pro in the ring, you can see how out of place these other guys are.
These are the heaviest things, everything else is light.
In the mid-70s, there were 25 territories in the U.S. and Puerto Rico where you could go to wrestle full-time. There's no school. The way you learn was you get in the ring and wrestle guys who are more experienced every night. So you're better schooled in the fundamentals.
Hardy?
Yeah, it hit a peak, you know.
Summer's always slower.
Yeah, but it was a fever for, for a while. And, where as long as it was just anything wrestling was hot. And now it's kind of coming back down to earth.
But it's always been that way. Look at the 80s, 50s, it was hot and too much hot.
See, I was lucky because when I came up, things were starting to die down, but there were still different places around the country that you can go and wrestle. The AWA was still going in Minnesota. There was still a promotion in Georgia, and Tennessee was running okay. There were still these old timers, the veteran guys, they were still around. So I had an opportunity to wrestle Bob Orton Jr., Greg Valentine, Johnny Valiant, Nikolai Volkov. I wrestled Ivan Koloff. Jimmy Snuka 5 years ago when he could really move a lot better. I learned more in one night wrestling these guys than I did in a year of training.
Come on!
They might as well be in Madison Square Garden. These guys, they have to be calmed down. The guys coming up now don't have that opportunity, very few. And the old timers who are around are really at the tail end of their careers. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference. Let's go get a chili dog.
Okay, guys.
But China's a real wrestler. Come on. And she was working with Vince in WWF. They probably
You get tough.
put her through the ringer. Yeah.
You get tough in this sport. You get tough.
I've done shows where the scouts have come out to the shows and they've seen me in my gimmick and my costume. I believe that they took my idea, my costume, my image for China.
Take your head off.
China, Asia, China. Oh, they get that look in their eye when they're on top and they know that me and him are the only one in the apartment.
And what do?
I knee him in the groin.
Hard or just
real hard? But you gotta make it like it was an accident, like boom. Oh, I'm sorry. Water break.
So you don't wait to say, hey, come on, that's it.
No,
because that'll give them a chance to lock up and they'll think you're afraid.
You cannot show fear. You cannot show fear.
Would you wrestle for me tonight? Sure, I'll wrestle. It's already working, right? I just have
It's like a salt and pepper shaker set.
local girl, WCW, I put you over. Jeannie, would you take her?
Nobody wants a salt shaker alone. You need the pepper.
And you're with Destiny. Destiny's with you.
You need somebody to work with.
This is Sky Shadow, correct? Yes, it is. Sky Shadow.
My first match. Wow, I should have kept the ticket stub for that, right? One of the local shows in the Bronx or something.
Fan favorite, for sure.
With Jeannie, who came into the wrestling school eventually.
Cowgirl out, I guess.
I think I paid $1.25. And they paid me the last bits in coins, actually. It's
Double bicep pose, Lou. She's pointing to you.
The door didn't do something. Yeah, I think that was my first match.
Wouldn't put a rake of the eyes or anything like that, or a quick kick. Oh, and a knee. We're underway.
Jeannie was my arch nemesis on stage, but she was my partner backstage.
Sky Shadow versus Sweet Destiny.
We got the same old referee. It's like fucking deja vu. It's like deja vu. It's like 10 years ago. The same thing. Nothing's changed. We worked together for a while. Different costume, different state, same state.
Oh, look at that. Here we go.
I was over at Johnny Rod's training, and then this classy, elegant, charming, older guy walks in. You look great.
Thank you. I will try my best.
I didn't know who he was. I didn't know that was Johnny Valiant.
It took me years to get into SAG, and once you do get in, boy, it sure narrows things
A
down.
lot of my friends are working under,
Different
sure, yeah. Hell what, you gotta pay the rent. I mean, union's great and everything, but what about your rent? He started telling me and giving me hints on how I don't need to be too loud because I'm the dirty Jap, and Japs are, and they just, he kind of molded my character, you know, I guess as a heel.
Guy told me once, he says, you go to LA, Johnny, you'll come back and you'll think wrestling's real.
We become actually quite good friends, and I've known him for like 4 years now, on strange occasions.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out there, what are you
We're
gonna
talking about New York compared to LA. You know?
Well, multiple layer New York City, one single layer LA.
I got some chocolate vinaigrette there. I have some muffins. I have some beautiful chicken. I forgot the chicken.
These are the envelopes, if you haven't figured out by now. Tonight there's a stack of them. If this show doesn't make money, it's my fault. The boys get paid. If we make a fortune, I make a fortune. But the boys get paid all the time. That's why the envelopes are paid the night before the show. I either sink or swim. We'll see what happens tonight. I'll talk to you later.
It's almost like an old-time cowboy movie where you would see the bad guy and the other guy's trying to get his way up on the cliff. The bad guy's stomping his fingers.
With professional wrestling, you don't necessarily have to be a good athlete.
Bret Hart said you had to take all the old wrestlers, take them out back and shoot them. I think he's right. There are a few bullets left.
It's more about the show. It's the entertainment. It's the characters I think you fall in love with.
Okay, so talk the whole shtick again. Let's go.
Okay.
You're not allowed to talk when you're a baseball player. With the wrestling, you can plead your case.
So you guys do your mic work. It's important to do mic work.
You play up that alter ego, and I think that's what people watch.
Now I think that Crazy Ivan has got an Italian accent. So I don't know if he's Irish, Italian, or German. Fox has to note that this man may have a foreign accent.
Well, when you go out there and you're doing a show, you gotta stay in character, whether you make a mistake or not. You know, you just go out there, you wing it. Sure, once in a while there's a mistake and you'll get a boot in the face. But for the most part, you protect each other, you protect your partner. Really, to be honest with you, the audience doesn't know. They don't know what you have in your mind. So if you miss a spot or something, it's not a problem. Sometimes we've worked and people have yelled at us and said, "Ooh, boring, boring." You know, you ignore them. They'll get back with you. They'll get back with you. One of the wonderful things about wrestling, it's live. One time. Get it right. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we will have a brief intermission.
Chef right here.
Who did you get Magic Market in? We got autographs, we got t-shirts, we give rub-downs, we comb your hair, brush your teeth.
You stay tuned for Wrestling Cake Production.
Oh, Charlotte, Charlotte, take care of you. Sure, you can go to Uganda with me.
Do you have a big hut there?
I have a big hut.
A big hut. I bet you have a big hut.
I think it's a gift to have a sense of humor. He had got a Laugh album, a Jonathan Winters album. This guy would make noises, you know, and do things like a flying saucer or whatever.
Hey, why'd you say?
You know, to do voices, and I would listen to this over and over for hours and hours, and I would incorporate that, you know, in school.
Well, I used to drink because I was in the business. I don't drink because I wasn't in the business. I used to drink because I was on the road all the time. Then I drank because I wasn't on the road all the time. It's funny how you get used to being on the road all the time. My friend,
This Lipstitz, she wasn't too happy with me because I would cause commotion while science class is going on or math class, it's not exactly the best time to do that. So I guess I kind of lagged behind and I didn't do all that good. And I chose to go to Atlantic City to work in front of the Steel Pier and the boardwalk rather than repeating summer school. My mother and I were food shopping, and Mr. Gillespie, who was a butcher, said, why doesn't Tom go to the school that my son goes to in Virginia, military school? So they dropped me off. And then they left and left me there. Well, I was very homesick. Here's this Waynesboro, Virginia, real sleepy little town. I'd never really been away from home all that much. Of course, Atlantic City and all, but I mean, I knew I was coming home. Not that I felt that I'd made a mistake, but it's like, what the heck did I do? I should have went to English class. I should have went to summer school. So I was on the Fishburne military football team, and so was Vince McMahon. He was on the wrestling team. I was on the basketball team. We were on the same baseball team together. He was very self-assured of himself. Not arrogant, but close to it. Like he didn't really answer to anybody. One day we were supposed to go to a parade. We were too smart for them. Why would we want to do that? So he and I think one or two other guys decided that we're going to go up on top of the roof where they had the flags and all this. Went up there and just took a tan, worked out and stuff. And I look at all the other guys marching out in the heat and doing their military formations, and we got busted, and I got kicked out of school for that. They came back down from Pittsburgh in the car and picked me up, took me home, and I shook hands with Vince, and I was kind of teared up a little bit. Maybe he wasn't too, and that was the last I was to see Vince McMahon. So I thought.
I always get interesting when somebody uses a sport metaphor for another field. So here's somebody who wrote about Kafka and Pinter. And calls it shadow boxing, the struggle between father and son. So in the past few years, I've become a student when I started really writing about it.
Same old. Wondering what's going to happen next? Here they are manipulating. There goes Chica with a backflip. What's more, so to do.
And when you're trying to learn a craft, it helps to know the history of how people used to do things.
As they're near the ropes. Got a half Nelson on them now. Referee's got to watch every move, walk around.
It's funny, I don't think wrestling was ever a shoot. Right, as a scientist, you're trained always to be skeptical. Show me the evidence. Wrestling's always been a business, and it's always been about making money. If the sport ever got in the way of that, then they would have to change the sport, and that's the direction that it went in. If you ever see a real wrestling match, you'd have two guys locked up for 5 hours, and after 5 hours, maybe one guy would win. So, who'd buy a ticket for that? It's not very exciting for fans to watch. So if you look at professional basketball, all the rules have been changed in order to accommodate television and spectator interest. So if you wanted to parallel that to wrestling, pro wrestling is like a Harlem Globetrotters version of the sport of wrestling. The bottom line is the bottom line. If you don't make money, you don't have a show. But certainly in medieval times, the joust was a work. I mean, it was a spectacle. It was stage managed, for entertainment purposes and discourse as performance. It moved from patronage to ticket selling. So pro wrestling, I think, kind of indirectly comes out of that lineage. It's kind of funny, I read about like prize fighters. And that's supposed to be the golden age, where it's pure. And John L. Sullivan was a theatrical performer. He toured in burlesque houses, and wrestling was the same way. Frank Gotch toured in burlesque houses. Has it changed that much?
Okay, so today we're way downtown in the meatpacking district in a club that they're volunteered to rent out for wrestling tonight. You know, WOW party, women's only wrestling. I found out about it because I ran into one of my girls who goes by the name of Crimson. She really likes to do wrestling personally for herself.
What I've been trying to do is draw women out to explore their physicality. And so I've been throwing these parties, and it can comprise of anything from erotic cat fighting, where women rip off their clothes and you know, do all sorts of naughty things, to really semi-competitive and pure physical domination. It's just such a thrill for me.
And we got the mats, collegiate mats set up. It's just playful. Plus, you know, alcohol is being served, so you want to keep that into consideration. Everything should be kept on a playful, fun, you know, situation.
Is that okay for you?
I was the only girl at the wrestling school for 7 years. I had to work out with the boys. Some of these guys are 250 pounds. They're putting their hand between your legs and you know, pile driving you and hip tossing you and...
Are you serious? I thought you were serious.
You can't take it personally. You can't be a girly girl. I was never a girly girl. I was just one of the boys.
There wasn't a lot of women wrestling, so I wrestled with a lot of men. And no one's really interested in getting seriously hurt. You know, stress relief. You don't make any money at it. Strictly for fun.
You're doing it for sports, for yourself.
So, I mean, if you were going to the next level, like professional wrestling, then that's a whole different routine, you know. But we just try and stick to, you know, releasing some energy and having a little fun. That's all. Slammer, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You know how to take your bumps?
Come on.
You can take your bumps?
You can take it.
I remember a couple of summers back, the movie came out, Fight Club. So I guess in collegiate wrestling, I love us.
Good move.
It was just like that. It was called Dracul. In fact, it was in a sweatshop. They had a makeshift ring made out of like a rubber foam. I had wrestlers, wannabe wrestlers there. I had has-been boxers, boxers up and coming, changing their names, working. It was as close to Fight Club as you can get. One day, I decide that I'm gonna kick the weakest, goofiest looking person out of the audience and wrestle them. I guess he looked small to me at the time, but the guy was actually kind of buff and he was a little strong. I believe his name was Shaji. And the guy comes out of nowhere. Bam! And my head goes snapping back, and I'm grabbing it, and I'm like, dude, this is, you know, this is like entertainment. You get it, right? Either he was drunk, he was high, he wasn't hearing me. My corner man says, yo, this guy's a freak. You gotta fuck him up. I hit him in the face, and his eyes just turned around, kind of hot. I flip him out of the ring. The ring was only yo big, and I sent him crashing into the audience. He seemed okay at the time. Like a few weeks later, I get a phone call from the Judge Mills Lane show, and they said that this guy wants to sue me because I hurt some spine in his neck or something. He was suing me for mental cruelty. Mental cruelty. Of course, Judge Mills Lane knows me. You know, I've met the man on the boxing circuit. So there I am on his show, and Judge Mills Lane pointed his finger and said, you went into the wrestling ring and get a little sexual gratification. Shame on you, court dismissed. To this day, people stop me in the street. Is that going to be my wrestling claim to fame, the Judge Mills Lane show? Yeah, there's a submission. We're just going to go over the safety features once the real girls start coming in. How to fall.
I keep this wall until 11 o'clock in the evening.
Now you guys gotta leave because you're a man.
That's probably the greatest thing I ever did in my life, of course, you know, being a father, and the most proud of all times of any somewhat meaningful accomplishments I ever had in my life. Yeah, one's in San Diego, he's 29, and the other one's 27 in Pittsburgh. I would sometimes take him ever so often to the matches. Certainly never let him in the dressing room and that. That was always like an off limits for me. I was always kind of personal about my family life. I'm kind of an open book myself, and that part of my life, I kind of let them have their privacy.
This is beat meditation, street regulation, underworld about to get played by the nation.
This is the Louis Armstrong Middle School in Queens. I'm the school program chairman.
This is beat meditation, street regulation, underworld.
Evan would tell me about his wrestling newsletter and his radio show. I see people who I think really believe that these people are killing each other in the ring, and it's for real. And here he said he could bring in guests, and they would discuss it, and they would say how it's rehearsed, how they practice it, that they know what's going to happen, and it's not something you should do on your own. With all the bad press about kids doing terrible things, here's an opportunity to give them the truth.
Remember Mike Leno?
Mike Leno, yes.
Yeah, he
wants from California.
Yeah, he wants you to do his radio show also.
Oh, okay.
I do radio too. I'm at 3 in the morning, so but if you ever want to come, we'd love to have you. Yeah, we're an arts program, not a wrestling show, so we have actors, improv comedians.
Yeah. Sopranos, I do that.
Really?
Third Watch, SVU, Criminal Intent, riding around with guys like San Martino and Danucci and Altamore and Lou Albano. I got my taste of the Sopranos right from the get-go. So. I like kids a lot. Yeah, I was coaching American Legion baseball in Pittsburgh, so I do. I like kids. I like teenage kids. I like kids that are probably at that borderline.
Okay, we have WWF legend, two-time tag team champion, Johnny Valiant. One of the great villains in the history of wrestling.
Do you think Kurt Angle got to be as good as he is by just showing up?
Yes.
Yep.
No.
You think Kurt Angle put a lot of hard work?
Yes. He got smacked around a lot.
Do you think you guys are going to get anywhere you want to be in life by not just showing up?
Yep.
When they say you have the will to win, that's not enough. You have to have the will to prepare to win. It's the time that you put at home, it's the time that the effort that you put on outside the classroom, so that when you come here, some of them are very attentive looking at you. Like Kurt Angle. Other ones, they're very disruptive, and their full intent and purpose is to be disruptive. The guy we have right here, he needs a little. Some of these kids, they really shouldn't have a teacher. They should have a trainer. All I want him to be is a good boy. I wound up throwing an eraser at one of them, maybe. I don't know, a piece of chalk. I really don't know. You're killing me, man. I tried to play off of them by showing them that I'm a little bit of a zany guy. And Johnny's going to grow to be an old man. But by the time that magic wand, I let them know that enough's enough.
Oh, wait. Johnny.
Now, excuse me, let me talk, okay? I'm coming here at my own free will, giving my time for free, so for you can be entertained. I know you have to use the restroom, but wait a minute. And the smarter you get, the more you're going to find out how much you don't know. But you'll always remember when Johnny Valiant told you that.
Welcome back to Chaos Corner on Guardian of Chaos, the YouTube channel, as we pay homage to independent pro wrestling, the backbone of this fucking industry, of this business. So I'm doing a little voiceover work with luscious Johnny Valiant, one of my favorite tag teams of all time, the Valiant Brothers, from the 70s into the early 80s. Shout out to my moderators, my brother from another mother, Austin Nance, and the OTS Tribal Queen. Drop an elbow on that like button. One man, unique, unedited, unscripted, raw dog for you, the fans. Let's get back to the documentary. Leave a comment in the chat.
Today we are at the Riverbank State Park. And yeah, it's an incredibly beautiful venue. And the thing is, it looks like not so many people showed up. You know, it looks like there's more guardian angels and security out there than people. It doesn't matter. We play to a crowd of 10, play to a crowd of 10,000, play to any crowd, even one. That is where I met the Smoke.
Rising stars in sports entertainment today.
And his partner, Storm.
For the Smoke has spoken. How you like me now?
The guy was a young wrestler, a jabroni. He couldn't think of his own gimmick, so he was stealing the Rock. I think a couple of wrestlers beat him up for that. Yo, come on, people, come up with your own ideas, you know? Come up with your own ideas.
Wrestling game.
Not this time. Not this time. We got 3 good-looking, sexy chicks to work the show today. And it's going to be Sombra's first. I want to make sure I catch that when she goes out. Let's see what happens. The responsibility of wrestlers to children or the viewing public, I think, is greater than other sports. The kids look up to these people as our, heroes. And I think what they see is going to be what they emulate. Brothers killing their own little sister by putting them in an atomic pile driver because he saw a wrestler do it on TV. We bleed ourselves with a gimmick, a little blade or a little ring. They take shitloads of aspirin, thins the blood, you bleed for a long time. Barbed wire matches and setting girls on fire. The kids are going to emulate that. The bookers and the producers, they just want more sex and more blood and more sex and more blood.
You're gonna make her sick. Look what happened now. Look what you did. That was intentional.
We had her come in as a valet for Miss Puerto Rico. It was a complete mark to wrestling. She didn't know anything about wrestling. And the kids, the little kids, they were groping her through the guardrail and grabbing her and groping her. She totally disgusted and she said, I will not support an industry that preaches sex and violence to children. And the funny thing is, she was like if she was a stripper. So
I told you you're coming for the gold. Tony Blaze, how does it feel to get shot?
Drop an elbow on that like button. Get us in the algorithm. No copyrights. I don't own any of the music, YouTube, so take your foot off my throat. No one works harder for you than I do in the IWC. No better than anyone else, just different. So I want to do some voiceover work so you know that we're watching this together and I don't get any fucking copyrights here. So let me know what you think of the content. Everything from the roller derby to the documentaries to Chaos Corner to in-ring action to the classics. Once again, much love and respect for everyone that's here. This is our temporary distraction, our stress reliever for the insanity that's going on here in 2025. So I just want to let you guys and gals know that I'm here with you.
Park College for about close to a year, studying journalism and communications. And then I went to the Marines down in Parris Island, South Carolina. And then got out and went back to Pittsburgh, and then I went knocking on San Martino's door.
You live around here, do you?
I guess it was Bruno San Martino and Vince McMahon Sr. that contacted a notorious villain wrestler that had a ring in his backyard, and that they felt were pretty good friends with, the Sheik, the original Sheik, Eddie Farhat. At the ripe age, probably about 19, I started my pro wrestling career. I saw him as a youngster in Pittsburgh on television, and he was announced as the Sheik from Beirut, Lebanon. I've never heard of Beirut, Lebanon. What is Beirut, Lebanon? What's a Sheik? He never spoke a word of English. And the authenticity of it all, there's nobody that doubted that the guy didn't have a camel double parked outside. I started out putting up the rings for this guy.
My old buddy Evan Ginsberg, who was producer of The Wrestler.
Nice guy, Australian type.
Go to the playlist here on the channel, and you'll see when I was a guest on Evan Ginsberg's podcast, Coast to Coast.
Didn't really hurt me, per se, but let me know that he could if he wanted to.
It's a present for you to put this together.
Wow.
Keep it.
Oh, man. Because a lot of my friends have asked me, they said, do you have any pictures? Would you believe I have maybe one or two? John L. Sullivan, that was the first name I used. 6 years, maybe? 30 years. Maybe 7 years. That's Johnny Sullivan.
Hey, you've got some other territories.
Oh, I should remember that one. Miami Orange Bowl. It was raining down there so much that time. I was always a good guy at that point. I was never a bad guy, never a villain. Always totally preliminary matches. Wrestled a little bit as best I could. Paid my dues. Meager pay, $10, $12 a match or whatever. And living in YMCAs and third-rate hotels and long trips and short money and very humbling type experience, but I was on my way as far as I know. That blind ambition. That's something to actually wrestle the guy that you knocked on his door I guess I was about 14 when I first met Bruno. One of my actor friends says, do you realize if you would have never knocked on that man's door, your life would have been totally different? And as a result of doing that, you know how your life totally changed?
That's what they say, your life could take different
I had gotten married, and now I have a lot more to be more accountable for. Keeping two homes, one on the road and then sending money home for my wife to take care of the kids. Look at some of these guys here, like Bobby Duncombe, Rocky Johnson, whose son is so famous now, The Rock, right? All of a sudden, after 8 years, you get a break. Holy cats, 1974.
Introduce it.
Yeah, introducing. Meet Luscious Johnny Valiant. Success does a lot of things to people. I saw it with Hogan. You certainly have seen it with McMahon. It's kind of parallel to the acting business.
I don't know, with all this music, fans, I think YouTube's definitely going to hit us with a copyright. Come on, YouTube. Don't make me come kick your ass. Because I will.
Up into Ontario, and that's why I met Jimmy Valiant.
I guess we're just going to enjoy the ride. Mercy Mama. Handsome Jimmy Valiant. Gotta love this. Had a chance to be with Jimmy in 2019 when I was inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. Check out the photos in the community section here on the channel. Mercy, baby. Mercy, daddy. Get a little chaotic here, a little unruly. This has been a great watch. I hope your notebooks are out. That's why I present this stuff to you guys and gals. I'm going to be taking attendance. Keep your notebooks out.
Southern born, Southern bred. When I die, I'll be Southern dead. I was actually born, yes, James Harold Fanning. I wrestled under Jimmy Valentine, Jimmy McDonald, Big John Vallon, Jimmy the Body Vallon, and then finally in '69, I went to Texas and Fritz Von Erich named me Handsome Jimmy Valiant.
Boogie's Pro Wrestling School. Down in Shawsville, still there to this day. Woo! Mercy Daddy.
I'm Handsome Jimmy Valiant, the Boogie Woogie Man. And I tell my people, my brothers and sisters, don't you dare miss this one. We gonna be ballin', swallowing, climb the wall. Old time Jubilee. Blood's gonna flow like wine. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was born in 1942 and started wrestling in 1942, really. I mean, I hit the ground wrestling, brother. I started wrestling in 1964. This is 2004. It's been 40 years. And this is my farewell tour. And,
so again, here on the time machine, 2004, just to give you perspective, 2004, this was filmed.
Every week I look at it and I said, man, I'm going to make it. I'm going to keep going. And hey, if God lets me, another 7 months, brother, it's going to happen. Well, you know, it's just a goal I set in my mind, and hey, Social Security kicks in, and I made a lot of money, but man, I blew a lot of money too, you know. But hey, it's time to stop. So I'm very fortunate to be able to go out on my terms. 40 years. I had two complete different careers. Because I was a Handsome Jimmy Valiant, and I was a bad cat man, you know, a rough guy. And then in the 80s, it's time to move on. So I grew a beard and started singing and dancing and kissing people and thinking of stuff different, you know. Man, the Boogie Woogie when man was born, and that was for the crowd pleaser for the next 20 years, you know. You're all over. Yes, hello, y'all. How you doing, my man? Back in my mind, I says, when I retire, I want to do a wrestling camp. And I'm going to help these kids. I did a little earlier than I expected. There you go, son.
Fine. You see, I brought the Angels some pictures. Did you see these?
No, not yet, man. I just got in from 700 miles, man. We rode last night from Arkansas. My man, Jim. This is going to be our 12th year. September the 12th, and it'll be our 12th graduation class, Joe. Yeah, this is all family here, man. It's all family. My kids keep me involved in it, and also I'm writing a book, and I'm on tour with that, and so I'll never get out of it, you know.
Boogie Woogie, and he was like my first favorite wrestler, so it's awesome to come up here and wrestle for my favorite wrestler. Good, I love it.
How long you been training, bud?
3 or 4 years.
My first pro match was with Charlie Fulton in high school in Connecticut. He was really nice, you know, like giving me pointers and helping me out. In the locker room, there's the Iron Sheik, Abdullah the Butcher, Professor Tanaka was there. here I am, just sitting in the corner, kind of soaking in all that's going on. When you're a novice, you don't have the awareness. I think I was pretty lost. You're in the ring with the blinders on. The only thing I really remember about the match itself was that at one point Charlie got me up against the ropes and whacked me with a forearm. And I said, boys, I thought this was supposed to be fake. And then in the same night, Ted Arcidi hit Hillbilly Cousin Luke over the head with a chair and busted him open, hard way. I'm like, well, stitches are no big deal, because they just sew you up and then it heals. No, I had no second thoughts. I left with a good feeling, so I was invigorated by the whole experience, ready to learn more, ready to really hit the gym.
One of the guys I met was the Bear Man while he was in Pittsburgh, and he had a territory up in Ontario. And he's one particular time I went, I happened to see a guy named Jimmy Valiant, along with Bobby Heenan, these fellows were wrestling in the Indianapolis territory. And Heenan spotted me and figured that, boy, I'd make a good partner for Jimmy Valiant. And he approached Dick the Bruiser in Indianapolis, the promoter and a great wrestler, to consider that. And they brought me out there as Jimmy's brother, with flowers and young girls. And,
you look at my brother Luscious and you
Looks like the Guardian of Chaos pose, doesn't it? Awfully ironic.
You look at the deltoids, you look at the biceps, you look at the
Research is your friend.
Look at the Valiant brothers. You're looking at men.
We had like 4 or 5 weeks to talk about Johnny before anybody seen him. Luscious Johnny, man, he's the roughest cat, he's the biggest cat, he's the best looking cat.
Now, YouTube, I don't own any of this footage. It's just for entertainment purposes. I don't own any of the footage. Cut me some slack now. WWE or WWF or WWF.
So I had some outfits made to correspond with his already established gimmick for appearance, that is.
This is when I was a huge fan of the Valiant Brothers. Middle, late 70s. I'm 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
I love Johnny.
Even went out and
I am a star.
had homemade t-shirts of the Valiants that I went and had printed myself when they were the tag team champions of the Worldwide Wrestling Federation.
And so I guess we kind of set a precedent.
Let's get back to the show. But this is why you're here, the connection between you and I,
the flamboyancy was
and what I present.
As we went. When I got into it to be Johnny Valiant, I didn't follow a script. Nobody wrote me a script as to what this guy should be. Larry the Axe Hennig, and then in Minneapolis, they said like a fast-talking cab driver kind of guy, maybe a used car lot kind of a guy.
Jimmy said to me, I can't wait until tomorrow morning. And I said, why is that, Jim? And he says, because I get better looking every day. And I said, well, just go to sleep and everything will be cool. And he woke up and sure enough, it was a little better than it was at midnight. Is that something?
When you incorporate the blonde hair and the sunglasses or whatever, you don't do all that stuff to be quiet. And then there was a match with Bruno Sammartino and Dick the Bruiser, pitted against Johnny and Jimmy Valiant, the Valiant brothers. They stood for uprightness, whereby these two blonde guys were totally off the wall. Midwest type town. Here comes these guys from New York over there. Who are they? we beat San Martino and Dick the Bruiser there, and that put us on the wrestling map as a tag team.
Super Abuela, an old queen of wrestling. How did she become queen of wrestling, and why am I the princess? The Olympic Auditorium. Maybe back in the day it was like a Carnegie Hall for them in the Bronx, but it's this rundown, pain-killing place.
Where are the women?
No, it's this one. It's on the stick.
There's not many girls that do the pro wrestling. There was really not too much interest in it.
Won't go to be in her corner. I'll be in your corner. You go at it. I'll be bothering her.
I mean, you're knocked out.
Right. Oh, I'm out. Go to the hammer. Tables, I have to go in the ring.
Who knocks me out? They'll hire a girl. The girl doesn't know how to work. I don't even think she's licensed because you don't have to be licensed in other states.
Because you can kick me right on the butt.
And then this is soft. This is
that's fine.
my knee shows I do around. She's got a pair of tits and something that looks like a wrestling outfit. Sky, girl, Sky, work.
You better tell them this whole thing one more time in front of him, otherwise, the minute he sees her knocked out, he's gonna.
Your workers are girls that know how to wrestle. They've actually gone to schooling and they put in time in the ring.
Are you gonna leave these in?
The other girls, the show girls, the titty girls, the valets, they're the most dangerous kinds of workers. They had us backstage for felt like, I think it was 3 hours. It was the middle of February or March. It was freezing. There was no heat in the building, no water, no food. The place was freezing. We're standing around for 3 hours in costume.
Curse, Calvin. Los Angeles Guardianes. The Guardian Angels.
Everybody wants to be a star and everybody wants to put on a good show. It was the worst. They had spent like $2,000 on fireworks. They went off like... For that, they could have paid us a little more. There was like 40 people in the seats, and most of them were up in the balcony, because the balcony was the cheap seats. There's only so much a person can take. It's very heartbreaking. I try to stick with what we talked about. I try to stay with the storyline. And she just didn't know what to do or work. We called some spots. She messed them all up. And to top it all off, after waiting and seeing the incredible firework display, she's wearing the street boots. I get kicked in the groin hard. I've never gotten kicked that hard before in my life. If somebody gives me a potato, that's when they fuck up and they hurt you for real. I give them potatoes back. I smacked her across her back and her head went, wow! Whiplash. That's the only way they learn. It's like a bad dog. You have to teach them. I thought I was going to be in the WWF and I'd be traveling with McMahon and, you know, I was going to marry Big Daddy Diesel at the time. I'll confess.
Big Daddy?
We all do, you know.
Sounds familiar. That's right, we're all marks.
Lucky I don't got nuts. I
I'm sorry about that. I mean,
It's stiffening in my pussy. Everything else is okay. The people that succeed, they succeed because they keep believing it. I think somewhere along the line, I stopped believing it. Yeah, I think that's why I didn't make it, you know?
We're going to stores. Cowtown, Yukon Huskies. Last day of class. Student presentations. Classes, graduate level sport management. So I have 8 students, 5 master students, and 3 PhD students. One of the things that I stress is define your core business. You think about it in a wrestling promotion. Are you in the business of selling t-shirts? Are you in the business of soap opera, burlesque? What do you do? Campus is pretty empty during the summer.
Yukon. A stone's throw from Chaos Corner. Here in the shadows of Titan Towers. In the greater tri-state New England Northeast area.
I did my undergrad at Wesleyan University.
Don't forget, if you're watching, if you're still here an hour and a half in, drop an elbow on that like button.
Seems like a long time ago now, but it's nice to be here under different circumstances.
Yukon basketball, Yukon men, Yukon women. This is basketball central.
It's a good group of students, you know, real good group.
Their primary business is the adult training and athletic speed development, and second, they have the health club service.
You learn a lot about people by teaching them.
To improve their quality of life.
And you learn a lot about yourself. You start out, students don't have the skills, and at the end of the semester, put something together. It's gratifying and fun. You know, we're not imparting technical skills. We're selling motivation. And, you know, we're kind of skirting around these issues, right, of feeling motivated. So if we can really focus on that feeling, you know, we'll give everybody A's, 8 people in the class. You know, my grandma always told me, if you can make a career out of a hobby, that's the smart way. In kind of a backwards way, that's what I'm doing. I can make a career out of writing about wrestling. In 2 days, I'm going to Pullman, Washington to teach at Washington State University. And I showed up at Ruby's job, and they just had a big luncheon for her for leaving. I had my shredded shorts, you know, guinea tea, and, you know, the cigar in my mouth. And I walk up, hey, honey, you got the keys? I say, wait a second, this is the professor? Hopefully I'm taking my wife with me, unless she's so tired of listening to my bullshit. Although, she's got to realize that we're going to be in a truck for 14 days. This is good for me. You guys want anything? And she's never really heard me talk about wrestling, especially on a hot day like today. She better make sure there's fresh batteries for portable CD, because Washington's a long drive, and I got a lot of stories. We're going to be living right on the Idaho border, in northern Idaho. So, actually, there's a show September 4th in Bozeman, Montana. AWA is running there. I'm trying to get booked on a show. Johnny Reeves helped me out a little bit. Hi, how you doing? Sorry. Now the charcoal. Do you slice that? You pick your ways that you're spoiled. For me, it's food and gyms. That's where I spend my money. I don't go out to nightclubs. I don't drink a lot. That's probably the Italian heritage. If I eat well and get enough exercise, then I feel good. I'm the strongest guy that I've ever worked out with. You know, you lift weights, and you know people who lift weights and don't take steroids, and they work really hard, and you see what they look like, right? And then you look at another guy who looks clearly different, and you say, you know, you can't say, well, I train really hard and take a lot of steroids. He's got to say, you know, I'm genetically dispositioned. Yeah, to take steroids.
He wrestled in high school, wrestled in college. He was the New England heavyweight champion.
This is in Monroe, Louisiana. Promoters like that match. It's good TV.
Sean Summers says it's over. Oh, he missed.
I'm having a good time here.
To the front. Down goes Sean Summers. Oh, gosh. Oh.
And when I was a kid, I didn't know how to play too well. Always just wanted to win.
And there's the beach bully drop on the back.
And now I think I'm much better at playing.
The winner of the match is Sean Summers. Oh, but Larry Briscoe did a great job. Back after this on Southern Championship Wrestling.
He's just like Larry. He loves himself.
I'm going to go outside, and when I come back, there better not be any balloons on this bed.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Really bad.
There are balloons on the bed.
I thought I told you.
Some students come down from Connecticut. That was touching. Spent 6 weeks in the classroom, and then they're driving that distance to see you off.
Sociology, the sociological aspect.
That was a good mix of a couple of wrestlers and then family. You know, cold beer, good food, and kids to play with.
Nice to see my old buddy on there, Gino
I think that's
Caruso,
something that for a long time I
who has a school and owns his own promotion in Jersey,
do it.
ECPW, East Coast Pro Wrestling.
You know, really
Man, I spent many a drives down there and
very rewarding.
working many an independent shows for ECPW.
Very rich,
Gino Caruso is a
family
great
life,
trainer.
Social life, you know, having a good time. It's all about the smile. Moving.
There he is,
always,
Gino Caruso.
It's mixed emotions, and it's all about the sadness. Because you feel a loss of not being near people you care about. In feeling that sadness, there's a certain warmth and comfort because it shows how deep the feelings are. I was so sad that I was happy. Overcome with emotion. But I was feeling the emotion in a different way. It came out in smiles.
I live on the west side in New York, on West 51st between 8th and 9th. It's a SRO, single room occupancy, and that's kind of the way I like it. It affords me the opportunity to be here in Manhattan, and my rent is very, very reasonable.
Rest in peace,
And
Johnny
it also
Valiant.
affords me the fact that I have freedom of movement.
Ironically enough,
And I
fans,
just have a real nice little humble little room.
Johnny
with a
was
window
killed
and,
in New York
little
City.
Black and white TV, a little radio.
Hit by a
some
bus,
pop shows,
if I have my
whatnot.
facts
Go down
correct.
the hall and take a nice shower and shave.
Struck and killed by a bus in
Kinda
New
nice.
York
That's
City.
where I go.
My apologies for stepping over. Let's get back to the show.
Just gearing up for the big show tonight. Johnny Valiant, third go round. Niagara, East Village.
I was introduced to Evan Ginsberg.
I publish Wrestling Men and Now. We're part of WrestlingMenandNow.com, JohnnyValiant.net.
Evan's been a good buddy of mine and wrestling fan.
It was a positive experience. That's how I met Johnny Valiant.
Okay, and presently you are managing him.
Yes.
He kind of has enlightened me now as to keeping up pace with all the other wrestlers by way of merchandising and tapes for sale and t-shirts and
Johnny Valiant is one of the most talented people on this planet, one of the funniest guys. I'm not saying this to butter him up, you know, and we're going to take him right back to the top of the man.
he's been kind of managing me and stuff, getting my appearances, basically all of it by way of the internet.
Many celebrities in the audience. We're going to introduce them a little later. The legend, Johnny Valiant.
Back in my days, we didn't have beepers over here and cell phones and internets and all, but you have to understand, I've kind of been away from this business for a while. So after I finished here in New York in the WWF wrestling, I had to take it upon myself that I got to go do something else in my life. So I'm kind of getting my, one toe at a time back into the water.
Well, you've been plodding along 7 some odd years here and doing very meager roles in movies and television and whatnot. How long are you going to give yourself? How long do you...
When you're my age, there's only so much work out there. If you watch television, you can see it's usually 20s, 30s, and 40s. And so that kind of narrows things down.
Say, finally dawned on it.
I ain't gonna ever quit, man.
Yeah, sweetie. All right.
It's a big city. There's a lot of people. But I really don't have the leverage that I had in wrestling.
Because once you quit, what would you do anyhow?
So I'm really out there all by myself.
After wrestling is probably the biggest adjustment in my life. Life, as it has a way of humbling us, it also is always bringing about changes.
And tomorrow, Monday, I'll be an extra in a movie called Taxi as one of the taxi drivers. Would I like to be a principal tomorrow? Yes. Tomorrow is just a job. They can wrap me after 8 hours so I can get some overtime or whatever. I go back to my little room there. And then that's it. It's okay to be humbled now and then. Going with the flow.